Hello, welcome back to the temple. Today we're going to be continuing our series, the Esoteric 7. This will be part 2. Before we begin, let's go ahead and make sure we get things open, nice and open. So let's summon some crowns. I'd like to invoke and summon the crown of Mithras. Let it pour through, let its streams pour through. I'd like to also call upon the crown of Ahura Mazda and its great wisdom and abundance of positive light energy. I'd also like to summon and invoke the crown of the Holy Grail with its life-giving, abundant, fertile light energy. I summon and invoke the crown of Brahma with its all-knowing, all-seeing, all-understanding, universal Godhead. I invoke the crown of Christ, the living shell that contains much, much great light of love and intuition and wisdom. Okay, just to name a few. Get things nice and open. Okay. In this video, we are moving away from the concepts of the 1 and 3, of which we discussed in the previous 2 videos, and finally now descending below into the physical 7, which are apart from the first 3, the Trinity. But all in all, they combine to create 10, which is the number of completion. Now the 3, that is the invisible hidden 3, once belonging to the purely spiritual aspect, a place of the infinite, eternal possibility of life, the universe, and the world, finally penetrated the veil of unknown thought, or the crown, rather, of unknown thought, and thus descended all the way down into the pure material realm, establishing a new negative polarity of physical embodiment, while creating a ripple effect through all the spaces in between. So, the hidden 3 penetrated through the crown, and then the physical 7 were known. And as the hidden 3 descended down, it went all the way down to the very bottommost point, which created the negative polarity, as well as also planting the seeds of the Trinity. So it established a new negative polarity of the positive physical or positive spiritual form of it. But the ripple effect it created went through all the spaces in between, above and below. These ripples, beginning in the lowest point of descent, waved out from the root chakra of the universe, as well as the root chakra of ourselves, as within, so without, which is the lowest, most material form of the 7 chakras, and its echoes reached all the way back up to the positive polarity, which emanated from the crown of the universe, as well as ourselves. Finding balance, equilibrium, as well as revealing the great principle that which is above mirrors that which is below, but also that which is in and mirrors that which is inward mirrors that which is outward, rather. That which is outermost mirrors that which is innermost, and so on. But if one were to derive a practical outlook from this most complex idea, they may derive as such. There are 2 main planes and 4 main points. That which is northward reflects that which is southward, and that which is eastward reflects that which is westward. But from the crossing of the 4, that is the 4 previously mentioned, and the realization of the crossing actually happening in the center, one may achieve great insights as well as establish newer, higher centers of thought, which are perfectly balanced and equilibrated with one another. So from the crossing of the 4 points, right in the center of it is a realization. And it creates a 5th point, or a quintessence. You can also look at it as the capstone of a pyramid, if you will. We might have to elaborate on that sometime. As a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and do it now. The four points seen in the purely physical sense or material sense are like the 4 bases of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. But the crossing of the 4 points takes place all the way up in the capstone, if that makes sense. So the crossing, multiplication, addition, and sum total of all 4 points of the physical base all create the spiritual capstone, which is there is no capstone there, is missing, because that is revealing, that's very revealing of some other hidden realm. So the 4 creates a 5, a quintessence, which is of a spiritual nature. Okay, so higher centers of thought, which are perfectly balanced and equilibrated in that center. This also results in a toroidal field of magnetism. Sorry about my cat. So the toroidal field of magnetism also comes from this crossing, of which we discussed in the previous prior videos. But this field moves in the same waveforms, both centripetal, which is north and south, and centrifugal, which is east and west, while returning all emanating energies to its complete central point, just like the pyramid, just like the cross, just like the others, as well as the Hermetic axiom. Now, as discussed earlier, when the trinity of the first 3 broke into the physical plane, the perfect triangle became inverted, while grounding itself and planting its tripartite seed into the roots of the universe, as previously discussed. These universal roots, while corresponding to the root chakra, thus received the seed of the unknown, forming the dark cosmic egg of the universe, corresponding also to the first kingdom of life, which is the mineral kingdom, if you will. So if you look at space, what is space? It's nothing but minerals and elements and energies all floating and clashing and colliding around, because that is the very baseline of existence. And it also corresponds to the root chakra. The root would be that same mineral. You could also look at it as the soil underneath the earth. The soil contains nutrients and elements and minerals which promote life. You could also even go further as saying that the dead bodies of the dead matter or dead life contribute to the mineral production. So the universe, could the universe really be a dead field, a dead place? But could it also, being dead and decaying, could it also be the great fertilizer of life and of all existence? The mineral king. Okay, so thus, when observing the human chakras, also while pondering the 7 rays, we gotta keep the 7 rays in this, it is best to view them upside down. Because when the spiritual 7 broke through, they became inverted and moving in opposite directions. So if you will, you could imagine a human chakra system as upside down, the root being the external universe around us, and the crown going towards our own earth, implanted in the ground of our earth, which is like trying to reach for our planetary logos center. So, but it's also pointing to within, instead of reaching out beyond and trying to find some kind of truth out there. It's really like saying the truth is actually down into the center within of ourselves as well as our planet. So the first ray of penetrating active will power hence became known in the first chakra, which is the opposite negative polarity of the first ray. It receives, it's open. So instead of being the active power and will, it receives, just like a root chakra. It's very open, and it is also symbolic of the great O aspect. Or you could even go as far as to say that it is like that of Osiris, the fertile tomb where all souls and spirits are reborn. For instance, if the first ray of purely spiritual energy, representing the alpha principle, hold on first. For instance, if the first ray, which is purely spiritual energy, also represents the alpha principle, it is its own inverted presence of the purely in the purely physical form, rather, of itself, thus becoming the solid ground or root of the cosmos, which is really just empty space as we know it. But from this fertile space of darkness, there comes many elements, minerals and debris, which seem to coexist with it. So then contacting the interact. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. When making contact, the interact with fluctuating power energy. I'm sorry. That was a mistype. Fluctuating powerful energy. Oh, I see what it happened. So when the alpha met the O or the omega down below, it resulted in fluctuating powerful energy currents colliding, just as we spoke before, exploding in the universe, resulting in a myriad of chaotic concoctions, of which most are destroyed and dissipate, just like the first ray would do. And to think that this all takes place in the universe's lowest kingdom, which is the universe out there, the empty space. Very rare, very, very few actually survive and go on to be planets and especially stars. How lucky we are. It would seem as if the early universe rather was like that of a waste basket of sorts, resulting in many disposed, crumbled up notebook paper, while occasionally or rarely achieving real results. But the dark void of space and the root of the cosmic egg are not lost, for to be a place of explosive chaos and material discord is to also reveal of an opposite, that is of a blinding infinite realm of light, of positive polarity, being in and of itself ineffable, indescribable, unnameable, and perfect. So to be that destructive and that chaotic would also mean that it would have to have an opposite polarity coming from some hidden place, which is infinite and eternal and perfect. So the trinity of the first three rays, especially that those manifest down here, would not be complete without the other two energies. Thus the mother of matter and adaptability found a way to mate with her son of wisdom, love, in some way. The mother, upon penetration into the physical cosmos, thus swapped the roles with her son of spiritual love, wisdom, and thus resulted in her own physical stream of water intuition, upon which fell a single droplet of truth, but was soon saturated, veiled, and cloaked by her ever-traversing streams of balance. So, when the initial Trinity, they were all three in one, broke through, the mother form of it, the one that was matter, swapped roles with the love wisdom of the Son. Thus, her material nature became watery, like that of wisdom, except in a material form, creating light, streams of light and streams of potency. So then she thus mated with the Son, or mated with the Father rather, which became the new Son, of which she had to mate also, which she had to mate with her Son also, to actually create something real. Because the Father was like a non-existent void of will. So that's how they achieve balance. The Son's spiritual love wisdom, upon crossing with its mother matter in this regard, thus resulted in a great reaction, while the Father was the minerals and the active energy, power energy flowing through them. This great reaction. His second ray energy became flipped with his mother, the third, and he thus became the great cosmic order of the universe, just like Lord Vishnu in the Hindu tradition. From him emanated the other two kingdoms, both the vegetable and the animal. So now we got the first three kingdoms, the first three chakras, first three rays of the seven, corresponding also to the first three kingdoms. So the mineral kingdom was the first ray of power will of the Father. So now the vegetable plant, or you could say the planetary kingdom, became known through the mother of the third ray. She became the vast planets of combined elements, minerals, and energies, somehow balancing them all and maintaining equilibrium within her cosmic reality. So in Mesopotamian tradition, she became the goddess, earth goddess Ki. In Greek traditions, she became Gaia, the earth goddess, ruler of the life-giving principle, or the iota giving principle, belonging to the first name of the Grecians, Iota. Oh yeah, I already said that. First of the Egyptians, Isis, as well as the third name of the Hindus, which is Im, or Brahma. She was perhaps the most important of the three, especially when she broke the infinite heavens, in which case she swapped love wisdom with her immaterial son and thus became the great universal substance, which combines, mates, unifies, and grants life to all, for that is her very purpose, to vegetate dead soil, to bring together minerals, mate them, and thus achieve perfect balance of nature and harmony. She is like the flow of nitrogen deep down into the cosmic crust, resulting in great abundant planetary life. But however, she does not represent the bud or the flower itself. So also interacting with the mineral to the plant or planetary, it was the sun's love wisdom that created the balance and order in order to achieve that perfect combination of minerals and elements in order to form planets of the life principle. So she does not represent the bud or the flower itself in this case. She only represents the vegetative plant part. So what represents the bud? If you have the soil down in the root chakra or mineral kingdom, then you have the vegetative plant life in the sacral region or the planetary region, substance of life-giving potency. Then where does the actual bud of the plant take place? Well, in the solar plexus, which is the sun, the great sun. While the great traverser of lights, carrying her streams into the earth and producing planetary life, these lives and forms were soon dead and wasted. For instance, the moon and vegetable bodies belonging to the planets were soon wasted, eliminated, and sent to the underworld. Much like Ishtar in the Epic of Gilgamesh, it was the great child or son who decided to balance the forces of the destroyer and the life. Yes, the great sun born from its own unknowing, or Omega, or orderer of and balancer of the cosmos, who thus tapped into the inverted negative power of his father, Alpha, and thus converted it into pure spiritual sun energy, which balances and equilibrates the three of them, resulting in true cosmic order, equilibrium, as well as the budding of the great lotus we call love. So the sun, being the final product, received the life and the phosphorus energy coming from the mother who traded his love wisdom and went into its father, where it was reborn into the actual sun, and that son became the third kingdom, which is the animal kingdom, also corresponding to the solar plexus chakra. And the solar plexus chakra, as you know, is also like that of a lion. For instance, what happens when you're hungry? Your stomach growls. It growls. It sounds like a lion. Your desire impulse increases. So while these great energies created these first solidified forms of early life, they still are of the animal nature. So the sun begot of the seed of the father and the life-giving principle of the mother still was like that of a lion priestess who was soon to learn and study and to understand what it's really like to be man, what it's really like to be a human, and to see and perceive of a higher order of existence. So that we will get into and discuss in the next video, the esoteric part 4, or part 3 rather, I'm sorry. So if you haven't subscribed or liked yet, please go ahead and do so, because we appreciate it. And just like always, have a good night.